What's up everybody, Super Fan here for another mod review. So, the part that I'm reviewing today is the Cobb Accessport. So, it's the version 3 that they do for the EcoBoost Mustangs, and gives you some really great gains, and there's a lot of really awesome tools in the Accessport. And before I go any further, some people have asked, why choose the Accessport over the other tuners? And it was my favorite just because, being a Subaru guy, Cobb has been in the Subaru community for, decades now, and they're just, I've always admired their work, and I've had friends that have run Cobb tunes on their Subarus for hundreds of thousands of miles without any issues, and so that's very impressive to me. And being my only car and being a daily driver, reliability and safety is paramount to me more than anything else. And so there are some tuners that might get you a few extra horsepower, a few extra pound-feet of torque, but this one still gives you huge gains. It's still going to be really evident that this car is a lot faster than stock, and you still have the safety and reliability that I'm looking for. So that's kind of why I like the Cobb. It also has, burnout mode, launch control, built-in data logging, all kinds of great stuff like that. So it's just a really advanced tool, and so those are the main reasons why I like the Accessport the best. Alright, so I'll show you guys what's in the box here. You have this little slip that says that the maps are already loaded onto the Accessport, so you don't have to plug it into a computer or anything. It's just ready to go right out of the box. So this is the Accessport here. Zip it with one hand. And so you have a little quick start guide which shows you, for your car how to install it and how to get going, basic stuff. They have lots of great resources online as well, with videos or PDFs to read through to inform yourself before you go ahead and do this. But there it is. That's the Accessport, and it's about the size of an iPhone. Very cool little thing. So this is up, down, and then there's the cancel, and then the big button is the OK. And then over here we have the USB cable to connect it to a computer if you ever need to do that. And then we also have in this little net a new cool blue faceplate and also a mounting thing so you can mount it on the car. Got some Cobb stickers, very cool. There's also this accessories box which gives you a little mounting tool thing. And then last but not least, this is the connector to plug it into your OBD2 port to actually flash the car, so very important to have that. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is connect a battery charger tender thing. So because the first time you flash the car takes between 20 and 25 minutes, they say, and it does consume a lot of battery power, they suggest and recommend that you connect it to a battery charger, just because you don't want the battery to go dead in the middle of the flash, because then it could just render your whole car inoperable. So just to be safe, I mean, it's not a requirement, but just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and connect a little battery charger I bought. You can buy a little battery tender for like 27 bucks from any auto parts store, and so just gives you a little extra peace of mind, just to make sure that you have enough power to complete the flash. Alright, so now that everything's all hooked up as far as the battery goes, we'll go ahead and plug in the Accessport. So the OBD2 part, of course, you just follow all the way down here to the right next to where the hood latch is. There's a port that's open here, and you just plug that right into there, and then you just plug the other part into the Accessport here at the bottom. You'll see it light up. Alright, so when you first plug it in, you're going to have two options here. You have the install for installing the tune, but you can even if the car isn't married to the Accessport, you can use this with any OBD2 port on any car to do troubleshooting and pull up codes and clear codes. But we're going to install it, but before you hit the install button, you just hit the engine start stop button here on the Mustang. You don't have the foot on the clutch or anything, you just hit it once, turns the battery on, and just leave that part on here, and then we're going to go ahead and hit install. Now there's several maps you can load on to the car here. There's an anti-theft mode which actually won't allow the car to start at all until you plug this back in and reflash, so that's good if you're storing it for long periods of time. Stage 0 is basically like the stock map if you want to revert back to stock. And then there's your 91 tune, and then there's the 93 tune. And then there's a valet mode as well, which actually limits the car to 3,000 RPMs and 35 miles per hour, which is very cool if you plan on valeting the car and think they're going to abuse it. We're going to do the 93 tune. That's the kind of feel we get out here in PA, and so we just hit that. It says a battery charger is recommended. Please turn off headlights, and climate controls, and connect the battery, all that kind of stuff. So we got all that charged, so we're good to go with that. Okay, so it's gonna, all these error messages are gonna come up on the car. It just gave me a bunch of error things. That's normal though. The car's gonna freak out, lights are gonna flash, and all kinds of stuff's gonna go on. But it's just doing that during the reflash process here. So first, it's currently saving the stock ECU map onto here and pulling that one off, and then it'll rewrite the other one. And like I said, this will take a while. You know, they said between 20 and 25 minutes to do the whole flash, and this part of taking the stock flash off is one of the longest parts. Alright, so now it's saying please wait while the Accessport prepares the ECU. So it's preparing to rewrite the new flash onto the car. Alright, so now it says do not turn off vehicle or unplug Accessport in all caps, which, you know, this would be, you definitely want to make sure that everything's secure. Don't mess with anything while it's doing this, because if anything goes wrong during this part, your car can be basically inoperable. So just hang tight here. Okay, finishing up here. Okay, just lights up on its own, everything comes back to life. Installation successful. Please turn off ignition key to off, and it'll complete it. Alright, so go ahead and start it up here. And all the warning lights are off, everything's good, and so looks like it's working well. Alright, so now once the Accessport is married to the car, then you have a lot more options here on the Accessport. You can have gauges, which is the first thing. You can have several gauges all displayed on there that'll display information as long as it's plugged into the car. You also have an acceleration timer, which will do you know, 0 to 60 in quarter-mile times. You still have the troubleshooting option there. You have an option to change maps as well, or unmarry the actual Accessport itself. So that's very cool. The Accessport does not have to be plugged in though in order for the tune to work. You just have to have it plugged in to do all these other things, and so it's a very useful tool with all those different features. So the first one I'm going to select is octane adjust ratio, which is crucial to make sure that the map is performing as best as it can. And this is a Ford thing that basically will monitor your fuel quality, and it'll adjust the power based on what kind of fuel the car is running. So we need to get that to -1 so that it's running at full potential. So we're going to have that and do some driving to try and boost that up to -1. And then we're going to go down and switch this other one and change the monitor to just have it as boost. And that way we can just see how much boost we're making, since the factory boost gauge here in the Mustang only goes up to 20 psi, and we make a little bit more than that here, so we're going to monitor that as well. Another very cool feature of the Cobb Accessport is the on-the-fly map switching. So there's 5 different slots for 5 different maps you can actually run on this car at all times. So you just use the cruise control controls here, and you set the cancel, and you can have the different maps, and it'll just go through them all here for you. And so 5 is economy, 4 is low, 3 is medium low, 2 is medium like high, and then 1 is the highest, and then it'll drop back down after a second. So it's something you have to do very quickly. But very cool to have that. Also with this, if you hit the off button, that will be a burnout mode that it will do, and will limit your RPMs but still give you a really awesome burnout. So similar to the GT's burnout feature that you can have with the track apps. And then also just hitting the set minus will initiate launch control, which you can do in this car, which will just basically limit the throttle, but you can just mash the gas and it'll stay at, you know, 4,000 RPMs or whatever RPM you set, and it'll you know, just launch for you automatically, which is a very cool thing to do as well. But so that's an awesome feature that, you know, only comes on the Accessport, and is a very cool thing to have. Alright, so it just started driving, and of course it started drizzling, so we'll hold off on the full throttle stuff for now. But like I said, I have to get this octane adjust ratio to -1 before we get full use of the tune. But first thing that I notice right off the bat, throttle response is much sharper. It's a lot more sensitive, and just I can tell it just wants to go a little bit more. And so that's very cool. You can definitely feel the power curve is a little different. Again, I'm not even at the peak of the map yet, but you can just tell that it has a little more punch, and it just feels like you're driving it. You can definitely feel like it's a different map. Like if you would have not told me the car had just been flashed and I'd hopped in, I'd been like, something is definitely different. You feel that the first time you push the throttle. All right, so out here on the highway now. The way you build up this OAR so that it gets to the -1 value is that you just do partial throttle pulls in boost, and that helps to really bump it up. I can already tell though that even just doing those partial throttles, I mean, it gains speed a whole lot quicker than it did before. All right, so we're up to the magic -1 OAR. So the car is fully calibrated. It knows it's on 93 gas, and so I'm getting the full performance now. And and it's powerful. I mean, that was just a little pull from like 40 to 60. It was just like whoop, right there. So definitely can feel more power, and that was fun. This is gonna be really fun. So, you know, this car from the factory at the crank, the horsepower is measured as 310 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. So that's the factory, but when you dyno it, of course, wheel torque and wheel horsepower is always lower. And so with the wheel horsepower, what most people, now I'm not close to a dyno, so I didn't do baseline numbers or anything like that, but it was 255 horsepower is what you normally get dyno-wise for, you know, stock horsepower, and then you normally get right around 300 pound-feet of torque with the stock torque of the car. And then with this tune being dynoed on 93 octane, what people have gotten is they've gotten 279 horsepower and 378 pound-feet of torque. So that's a jump of almost 80 foot-pounds of torque, and you're getting a good healthy bump of almost 30 horsepower. It gives you a lot amount of torque. I mean, so we're doing V8 levels of torque out of this little turbo 4-cylinder, which is very impressive. And so yeah, it's going to be fun. Definitely continue to watch the weekly updates for further impressions of this tune. But huge thanks to Cobb for hooking me up with the Accessport here. Really appreciate it. And so I'm going to do the one last thing, and the place where I always do my same accelerations every week in the weekly update to end the videos. I'm going to do my first full throttle acceleration in the Mustang here with the Stage 1 Cobb tune. Alrighty, so we'll do like a 5 mile/hour roll here, and here we go. Oh man, it sounds so much angrier now. And much faster. Oh, that was fun. And I mean, as soon as I stomped on it, it immediately has a little bit of a trouble putting down the power, because I'm still just running on these standard 235 tires. This is not the performance pack or anything. So that whole first and second gear was like getting a little spinny there, even though these are dry roads. I was going uphill for sure, but it was still crazy. And one other thing, like I said, I mentioned how it sounds angrier, but another benefit of this tune is that it removes the top speed limiter. The standard EcoBoost is limited to 121 miles per hour actually, which is extremely low. The performance package is 145, but with the tune you remove those limiters, so for those of you that drive very fast, that'll be appreciated as well. Let's do another little acceleration here, up another hill. Yeah, it pulls strong. Definitely got that extra something there. It pins you back in your seat more aggressively, and just the car feels like it's definitely just running a whole lot stronger. So this is fun. The biggest thing is between, you know, 2 and like 3,500 RPM, it just really rips, because you look at the dyno curves for these tunes and it just shoots up immediately and then slowly tapers off. But I mean, it pulls strong all the way up to, like, you know, red line. I was only going up to about 6 because that's still about where this power level, you know, continues to stay strong before it drops off. But man, it just pulls really hard, and you can definitely tell there's just a whole lot more there than before. So once again, huge thanks to Cobb for providing me with this Accessport to review for you guys. I would definitely recommend it. It's a very cool thing, and you know, the gains are great. All the tools that come with it are great, and overall, it's just a very easy, very cheap mod to get so much power, and it's just the absolute best bang for your buck mod for the EcoBoost by far, without a doubt. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care.